Right, great. Let's talk to Jimmy Mbog and find out. Jimmy, what's the latest from where you are, and do we expect any surprises?
Yeah. All right, a very good morning to you too, Trevor. Yes, it's quite a chilly morning here in Karen. And of course, what we have done is we've tried to trace the CS. Normally, we only get to see the Cabinet Secretary once he's gotten to the National Treasury. But today we decided it is time to do something different. Yes, that is the car that the CS, any moment from now, will be coming and driving in, heading to work. Of course, it's about 5 minutes to 8 a.m. And any time now, we expect the CS will be making his way. Yesterday, from what we had the conversation at the National Treasury, there was a team led by the principals, by the PS National Treasury, Dr. Chris Kipto. We were privileged to have a conversation with them, just looking at what it has taken to get the 2025-2026 budget ready. And some of those figures, we know that later on today, those numbers will be coming out. We expect no surprises so far. But from what I've been told, or from some of the people that we've been speaking to, is that things might be a little different. We can't get into the details at the moment, and any time now, okay, I can actually see Waziri. He's right now walking into his car, and we will try and just catch him for a minute or two, just trying to see what his headspace is. This is his inaugural budget as the Cabinet Secretary. Waziri, good morning.
How are you, my brother?
Good. How are you, sir?
Yes.
All right. How do you feel this morning?
Well, I feel great. It's an important day for the country. Today is the day that we are reading the budget highlights and revenue-raising measures. It is a constitutional and actual legal requirement. Yeah. It's done in the entire East African community. All the ministers will be reading their budgets. And we had a pre-budget meeting in Arusha a while back, a few weeks ago. Yeah. And so I think it is going to be a great day. I have a date with Kenyans. Have
you slept? Have you slept well? Did you even manage to sleep at all?
Well, I have had some sleep. It's not that it's too stressful. I've had some sleep. But again, it has been very busy. It has been a very busy week. Yeah. But this is the day.
All right, so Waziri, I know you're about to walk into your car. So, yes. Trevor, if you will allow me, I want to hitch a quick ride with the CS just to try and also and see what it feels like driving with the Cabinet Secretary, even as he makes his way to the National Treasury. And we will continue our conversation inside here. Trevor, if you can see, yes, this is Waziri's official car. We will try to get him to answer a few more questions, even as we make our way to the office, just trying to understand what it has taken to prepare the 2025-2026 budget, and also trying to see what has he done differently from what the other CSs have been able to do in the past. And Waziri, now that we're here, yes. I know last year, a time like this, and the budget and the environment was quite different. And I know that is one of the things that you must have thought about even while coming up with this year's budget. Could you tell us, just take us through your thought process even when preparing this year's budget?
Yeah, I think actually last year's events were a turning point in the country. It demonstrated to us very clearly that our constitution is not idle, that the citizens are alert and exercising their democratic rights. And so we definitely had to change the way we do things. There were questions around openness and transparency in the budget-making process. And I think that is what we have done differently this time. Apart from what has for some time been done, where the budget process takes a particular route or pattern, this time we were more engaging with the public. You'll remember that I took personal initiative from the time I got into the office, communicating and making people understand and demystifying what the National Treasury is all about and managing of our finances. And so we have had even public barazas, we have had cases where we have held meetings in Jivanji Garden, we have held meetings in Mombasa, we've held meetings. My team have gone to Eldoret, have gone to other places, even Nyeri, to hold public engagements. And we have also had cases where I've interacted with the youth. We have had meetings with who the people we call Gen Zs. I've had meetings with the Nairobi business community. I've even held meetings in Kibra, something that I think has not been done before. Just to engage the public to understand their budget and understand the finance bill.
All right, so Waziri, what we know you from is previously you were quite vocal in terms of criticizing some of the policies that you felt did not align with the priorities of the country. Now that you have a front row seat when it comes to the finances of the country, what are some of the things or the realities that you've been faced with during this preparation?
Some of the realities I've been faced with, or we have been faced with at the Treasury, is that we have to balance a number of things and a lot of things. One, you are aware that we have a very high debt level in this country, and debt servicing cost is not is very high, and at the same time, the expenditures are increasing. So the ballooning of expenditure, the demands for resources, all this you balance with the expectation of Kenyans that they don't want to be overtaxed, which any citizen of any country would not want to be overtaxed. So you balance the revenue requirements vis-a-vis the fact that Kenyans are feeling that they are being overtaxed, and at the same time you have also to spur economic growth. And it was we are preparing a budget when we've just come out of that civil unrest, and so for 3 months the economy was shut down, and at the same time there are other geopolitical dynamics. We have the war in Middle East, we have the war in Ukraine, which is affecting supply chain, and at the same time again there is change of leadership in the US, which is the world leading economy, coming up with the different tariffs, a lot of which is hurting the entire world economy. And so I came into office when there were lots happening, both in the domestic economy and also externally, and it was not a very easy balancing act.
All right, so Waziri, in your previous statements, one of the addresses that you said is what we seem to have in the country is quote-unquote budgeted corruption, but essentially just a lot of wastage and pilferage. So when you look at this year's allocation and the budget that you have prepared, do you think you've been able to address some of these issues?
First of all, we actually were alive to that, and we made changes from the budget making process. This year's budget is based on what we call zero-based budget. It's not based in the traditional incremental budgeting, where you just take the previous year's budget and put a markup. This time, every expenditure had to be justified by MDS. But besides that, there are a lot of reforms, a lot of which I will speak to in my speech. In fact, my speech, at the end of it all, you will notice, and I think Kenyans will appreciate, that it is a reform-minded speech. We are trying to reform, because one thing that Kenyans have consistently spoken to is that we are collecting reasonable revenue, but there is pilferage and there is wastage of public resources. So my attention in the last almost 1 year has been targeted at reforms, bringing reforms, policy reforms, reforms in procurement, reforms in asset management, reforms in pension management, reforms in human resource management, reforms in budgeting process, and reforms in revenue collection. All these combined, going forward, will help put this country in a path where we use our resources effectively and efficiently, and there will be value for money. That, to me, is my focus, and that is something that can stand the test of time. It is not something that will leave office with me. Once I leave office, I will have set a foundation upon which my successor and other people will coming after me will now build on to have a prosperous Kenya going forward.
All right, and speaking of leaving office, of course, the question that comes then to mind is, what do you want Kenyans to remember about John Mbadi as the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury? What are some of the decisions that you want to remain at the hearts of Kenyans?
One of the things that I will want Kenyans to remember me for is one who brought reforms in our procurement system so that the wastages and the corruption that we see in the procurement processes are reduced or eliminated completely. I would want to leave office as one who has helped to stabilize the economy and managed at least our public debt. I would want to leave office when people will be referring to that person who opened up National Treasury and made or demystified National Treasury to the extent that people start engaged more with the National Treasury. Not a closed system working in silos. National Treasury belongs to the people of Kenya. The finances belong to the people of Kenya. We are managing it. Or managing the resources in trust.
All right, so do you think the budget that you and, of course, the entire team from the National Treasury have prepared has been able to balance all the different interests and also just taking care of both the expenditure side and the revenue side?
Thank you very much. That's a valid question and a good one. I will tell you that one thing that I'm proud of about this budget is that it is not overambitious. It's not overambitious in the sense that our revenue projections are reasonable, and I will tell you for the first time that National Treasury has projected ordinary revenue below what Parliamentary Budget Office has projected. And that, to me, is a starting point towards managing our budget deficit. Because if you unrealistically project revenue, you will definitely be revising budgets in the course of the year downwards, and that will be opening up the budget deficit. Secondly, we have tried within the constraints that we have, with the tight fiscal space and even shrinking further with time, we have tried to allocate resources as much as we can to those critical areas that are good for the ordinary mwananchi. We have tried to allocate reasonable resources to take care of issues of agriculture and food. We have tried to put resources in health. Primary health care is getting a boost from 7 billion to 13 billion. That, to me, is a good progress. That is to help SHA. And also, we have put almost double allocation in chronic, emergency, chronic and clinical illnesses, again supporting SHA, and many other lines in the health budget. Education, we have tried to maintain almost the same allocations, but it should be understood that we are supporting higher education loans about much more by giving about 6 billion more compared to the previous financial year. We have also supported cases of social protection and affirmative action just to help the vulnerable in the society. More allocations have gone to cash transfers to the elderly, cash transfers to the orphans and vulnerable, and those who are living with severe disability. So this budget, in my view, is responsive enough, and the manufacturing sector is also getting a boost so that we can create more employment opportunities to our youth.
All right, now, and I know for the better part of the day, we will be spending the day with you and the entire team at the National Treasury, just trying to understand what else is going on. So, Trevor, I want to hand it over back to you for now, unless you have a question for Waziri, because we should be getting to the National Treasury in about 15 minutes or so. But for now, back to you, Trevor.
Jimmy Mbogo there speaking to John Mbadi, the